Naslov ovog videa je tko je Robert Graf, a da bi došli do tog odgovora nekad se najbolje raspitati kod njegovih suradnika. Jučer je prilikom njegovog imenovanja moj post na Twitteru retweetao njegov bivši suradnik u Rakovu, Barnaš, i naravno poželio mu sreću i napisao da je Hajduk dobro izabrao. To je mene zaintrigiralo i naravno uspostavili smo komunikaciju i on je se suglasio da mu ja postavim neka pitanja na koja će on odgovoriti glasovnom porukom i naravno suglasan je da se to objavi u ovoj formi videa. Pa evo, u idućih 10 minuta čini mi se možete poslušati što Barnaš, dakle bivši skaut Rakova, gdje je surađivao sa našim aktualnim sportskim direktorom, misli o Robertu Grafu. Sada je taj gospodin Barnaš glavni skaut u MLS-u u Vancouveru. Evo, uživajte.
Our first contact with Robert has taken place before the summer of 2022. I think it must have been April or May. I was leaving my job in Willem II, Dutch club, Dutch club that I was working for like 5 years. So with my contract expiring, I was looking for something new, and the timing was good because Rakov was also looking for a new head scout. Robert, I didn't know him before, so he invited me for a first meeting. Just a meeting to introduce ourselves and to talk about how we see football, how we see scouting, what's the vision that Rakov has for the future. I think it clicked very well. You sometimes have this feeling with people that you share the common vision. There's a good flow, and that was our first contact. Soon after that, I was invited to Częstochowa for a second round of talks. This time it was Robert and the owner of the club, who's you may know that Michał Świerczewski is very involved in Rakov. So he wanted also to meet me to discuss things more in detail. And then after this conversation, there was also a third round of talks, like a final conversation with representatives of the club. I think there was the owner for sure. There was the coach Robert and the chairman of the club. So most important people in the club. We really had a good conversation. My task was to prepare a presentation on like 5 big blocks of topics, such as scouting for the first team, scouting for the academy, what's the profile of Rakov player, what kind of profiles we should look for, what's the template of the report. It was very, very structured, and I have to say I liked it because this way, before you start the job, you already know what you will do. They asked, for example, for a plan for the first 100 days after taking the post. So it was a very professional process, and I appreciated that a lot. This is how we started cooperation with Robert and with Rakov. I can say yes. He had a lot of confidence in me and in our scouts. I think confidence is something that you build. You don't give your confidence for free, let's say. But we had a really good start. We signed Svarnas, we signed Berggren as first players. Basically, both did really well. Although Berggren probably needed more time than Stratos to adapt. But I think this kind of situations help you to get trust from your sporting director. If you are a head scout, the best way to earn the trust of your sporting director is to give him good players. It's simple as that. I think, throughout my time working in Rakov, I felt that my voice was heard and respected, by Robert. So of course we weren't able to bring in every player that we liked. That's never the case. Unfortunately, that's never possible. But I think there was a few good shots that you can say were the effect of our good cooperation. I think it's oriented towards maximizing the potential of the club. I think in the club where Robert was working before Varta, they didn't really have the academy. So he was mainly focused on finding cheap players, undervalued players who could help the team right away. In Rakov, the owner has invested a lot of money in the academy in recent years, but it's still far from best Polish academies such as Academy of Lech Poznan, Legia, or Zagłębie. There also the approach was to look for young players, players with resale potential, such as Ante Czernac, for example, or David Drachal, that we have brought in. I can say we tried to promote some players from academy in Rakov, but I think it was we shared the feeling together with the coaches that even the best players from the academy were not really ready to help the team that was competing for championship, that was competing in Europa League later. The jump, I think, from the academy to the first team was too big for the players to take at that point. Now I think it's a very interesting challenge for Robert, because we know that Hajduk, one of the foundations of Hajduk's play, is the academy. It's fantastic. It's very well known in Europe. There's I think every year there's a player, 2 or 3 that are leaving club, that are youth products of the club and products of the academy of Hajduk that are sold to big European clubs. And I'm sure Robert will also try to maximize this side of the club. And with his knowledge, I think he can do that very well. Rakov was a specific club because Marek Papszun was there for years before Robert came over, and Marek was one of the authors of the success of the club. He helped the club to get from 3rd division to 1st division, then later to win the championship. And Robert was there along the way, especially along this crucial season where we won the title. I think their relationship was good. It was professional, of course, and the position of Marek was really strong in the club, which is obvious because I think he earned it. You know, when you have the coach that who builds the club from level 0, let's say, to level 10, that's normal that his position is stronger than most of the coaches. But I think Robert is an intelligent director. He adapted well. He knew what to do to make this cooperation efficient. And I think they had a good relationship. I think it's also very interesting to see how the relation will be with Gonzalo Garcia. Of course, Gonzalo is not a club legend of Hajduk like Papszun was in Rakov, but I think it's a talented coach as well. I remember he was in Holland in the past, and remember his name from Twente. I think both Robert and Gonzalo are fairly young, so I think that could work. They are both not from Balkan region, which I think can also work in their favor. I think both from maybe a little bit different football cultures, Poland and Spain, but they can add to the mix together with a Balkan mentality, Balkan identity of Hajduk. I think it can be a very good mix, and hopefully it can get Hajduk back on the top of the Croatian league, which is their ambition. Robert's 100% a cooperative guy. One of the first things that he told me when we met first, when we were having coffee, he said, my vision, my kind of the way that I see how you build the club, how you build the structure, is that you are not afraid to hire people who are smarter than you, because I know that I'm probably not the best scout. Maybe I'm good in negotiations, maybe I'm good in analysis, but I'm not the best in everything. So I need specialists in every department to make it work. And my job as a sporting director is to make sure that that we maximize potential of every department in the club. That's what he said. So I think I also saw this approach when watching him work in at Rakov. He when he hired people, he also gave them trust, which is very important, and confidence. So yeah, I think he's absolutely a cooperative guy. I think also the decisions that were taken in Rakov were not decisions that were taken by one person. We always want to make sure that everyone is on board to avoid the situation when, for example, you sign the player, and then after 2 weeks the coach says, "Okay, I didn't want this player, take him away or sell him." We didn't want this kind of situations to happen, and because of that, we had kind of a transfer committee where you had the owner, myself, of course, Robert, and the coach, continuously talking every week, every 2 weeks, about prospecting new players, about the situation of the squad, about our needs, about the players that we want to sell. So yeah, it was like a continuous work, continuous discussion, and I think that's a very good approach. And I think also Robert liked it, and I would expect he will probably try to also work in this way in Hajduk. We had a very precise profiles of the players that we wanted. I think it starts with the identity of the club, how you want to play, what's the structure, what is your idea of how you want to win games, how you want to achieve your goals. In Rakov, it was very clear we wanted a strong physical team that was very disciplined, that could kill other teams, beat other teams with discipline, with structure, with working as one. I would say one organism, one body, where everyone exactly knew what he had to do. So in order to do that, we also needed a specific profiles of the players. We didn't really have big stars, we were all about players who have team mentality, who are happy to sacrifice themselves for the sake of the team. Yeah, the human element that you asked about was extremely important. We wanted to understand players' motivations before they joined the club. So, for example, we had video calls, 1 or 2, with every player before we made the decision to offer them a contract. We wanted to, both me and Robert were present on these calls with the player and usually his agent as well. So we wanted to understand what's their motivation. Are they hungry or not? You can, it's also about feeling other people. And after these calls, some players we felt, they really fit into what we want to do. Some others, unfortunately, not. But I think that's very important part of the process before you make the decision that you want to sign a player, to get to know his mentality, his motivation. Of course, you can never be sure, but I think it's something you should do, to try and understand what kind of person you're talking to, what kind of person you're bringing into the locker room. About the use of data, I think, there's a lot of talk now in football about data and numbers, and everyone's now a data analyst or something like that. But I think different people understand different things about it, and it's you use data differently when you work in a small club. You use data differently when you work for Real Madrid. So I think it's about finding the right balance between data and live scouting, between the subjective and objective side of scouting. I think you need to have a combination, and finding the right balance is something that is extremely important. I know that Robert likes to use data, but he's not the type of guy that sometimes media present him as a guy that's only about data. I think he also understands the importance of the human side, I would say. He understands that you also need to see the player live to feel the player out a little bit. So that's how he approaches this. Yeah, I already mentioned that Coach Papshin was an important piece of the puzzle in Rakówu for sure. He was involved in bringing in players, but especially in bringing in players from domestic markets, so from Poland. I think that's pretty normal. He knew these players. He often played against them, so he had a really good eye on the players from Polish Ekstraklasa. But from the other leagues, yeah, he gave us freedom, to propose players. Of course, before we signed a player, he had to give a green light, which is normal. I think that's in every club. Probably it should work in this way, that you want the coach to be on board before you sign a player. You want the coach to accept him, to be ready to work with a certain player. So I think our idea, our identity in Rakov was to build kind of a Polish Red Bull, So we wanted the players that are hungry, that are team oriented, that can play high press in a very direct and a very physical team. Hence, for example, Ante Cernat, I think that was our biggest success. It was already after Marek Papshin left Rakov. It was with David Farga, so big credit to David, who was one of the reasons why Ante developed so well. We have to say it was also not a sudden explosion. It was a process. Ante needed a few months to adapt, and then after the winter break, in the spring round of the season, he did really well. So that was an interesting case where Robert was able to sign a player who later was sold for a big money.